Well, hi there, fabulous third period. Before we take notes on the video, we need to create our paper for our notes. So I'm going to suggest that you hit the pause button and then please follow these directions for creating a 1/3 skinny column on the left, a 2/3 skinny wide column on the right. Your notes in your binder are also set up this way. Please title these notes G2 visualization notes and then skip available line and write the title for G2A. And then when you're done, unpause the video. So welcome back. So we have 5 lessons in our unit on geography. So this is the second group of lessons and is all about regionalization, which you can tell from the title has to do with regions. And we are only taking notes on G2A today. And then next time we'll do B, C, and D. They're pretty small. So all of G2 is again about regionalization. And so the summary is that regions are generalizations about space, and they're based on human or physical characteristics made by people, physical characteristics made by Mother Nature. There are 3 categories of regions. There's formal regions based on shared traits or characteristics. There are functional regions that are based and spread from a central point, and perceptual regions which are based on perceived characteristics that may or may not be evidence-based. Regions also cohesively organize space. They can vary in scale, so we can have large-scale regions, we have small-scale regions, you have a region of our school, you have a region of the world. They can overlap and they evolve or change as human and physical changes occur. So regions are not always the same through time. So our starter claim, what we will be using our sources to either support or challenge before we do our writing assignment, is that regional boundaries separate places that are completely different from each other. So that when we have regions, it separates places that have nothing to do with each other. And our learning objective for all of G2 is to examine the purposes, characteristics, and limitations of regions, because they definitely have all 3. So for G2A, it's all about the purpose of regions. That's the title of this section of your notes. And our essential knowledge is that regions are created to organize space based on human or physical characteristics and patterns of human and physical activity which change over time. And that's what our sources will also be discussing. So you're going to record your notes on the right side, and then you're going to write a few level 1 or level 2 questions on the left side to help you process the information. These notes will be used in your writing. These notes will be used in your performance task writing, and you will be getting some graded assignments. So please begin writing on the right-hand side. So places have human and or physical characteristics that make them different from other places. So if somebody found out you're from Florida and said, oh, what's that place like? You are going to describe physical characteristics that make Florida different from, let's say, Nebraska. And physical characteristics are things made by Mother Nature. So you might say that we have hurricanes. You might say that we have manatees. You might say that we have beaches. You could even name like Clearwater Beach. And you would say maybe we have the Everglades. All of those are made by Mother Nature. You could also describe what Florida is like by describing its human characteristics, things that are made by people. So you might say that we have the Rays, that we have Disney World, that we have Pier 60, that we have Dunedin and Taurus. All of those make Florida different as a place from, again, let's say Nebraska. So when we look at regions, regions are just groups of places that have either physical characteristics that are the same or in common, or human characteristics that are in common. So physical regions that include Florida are a hurricane region, and so here's a map right here of hurricanes, this bottom right, so you can see Florida is not the only place that has a hurricane. Coastal regions, so that's what this map on the bottom left is showing, so areas that are considered coastal regions, definitely the interior of the United States is not. You could say that we're a humid region. So again, we're looking at a physical characteristic that multiple places have. We can map that out. If we wanted to describe the region that Florida is in that's based on human characteristics, you could say that we are a Major League Baseball region. So we have the Rays, but lots of places in the United States have Major League Baseball. We're part of that region. This top map up here, this shows major theme parks in our country. So we are definitely part of a theme park region. You could also say that we're a tourist region since we depend on tourism for a lot of our economy, but so do some, but not all, other states. And geographers use regions to present a complex Earth into simpler general means. So if you were to look at this map on the left of climatic regions of the world, instead of having to say, oh, Brazil has a tropical climate, so does Honduras, so does Angola, so does Vietnam, we can just take a world map and we can code all of those areas that have a tropical climate. We're going to make that dark green. And then all of the areas that have an arid or dry climate, we're going to put that in this golden yellow. So we're taking a complex Earth and we are simplifying it. You could do the same thing for religions. So if you look here, we have the dark red is Christianity, the green is Islam, so people who are Muslims. So instead of explaining what all 190 plus countries in the world mostly practice, we can just make a regions map. So real quickly, we're just going to preview the sources for G2A. This is what you're going to be analyzing and discussing and answering questions about. So we're going to look at 3 maps of Europe. And even though Europeans are all with all individual countries, they also have some human characteristics in common. So we're going to call those cultural identities for our sources. But also they have some physical characteristics in common. We're going to look at climate and topography. So these 3 sources are going to highlight those similarities, those commonalities, and also those patterns across the countries in Europe. And we're also going to see that these are examples of physical and human regions. So here we're going to be analyzing source 4. And so when we look at source 4, the words inside these individual countries in Europe is the word for bear and the different languages. And so even though they have the different words for bear, we're going to look at that legend to see what the primary language was that eventually created that word of bear. That's going to be a human characteristic. They have a similar primary language. And on this source, this is a topography map. So this is showing elevation. This is showing mountain ranges. So you know it's elevation because the key has it in meters. So we're able to look at this and see areas of Europe that have a higher elevation and then areas of Europe that have a lower elevation. And then our last source that we're going to be analyzing and discussing and answering questions in class is source 6. And this source is showing Europe, but now we're looking at the main climates of Europe. And so again, when we look at this source, we're able to see that there are patterns in Europe related to climate. That's the end of our video for today. Please make sure that you write down some questions to help you process the information. Again, you will be using these notes in your writing, both for G2 and for the performance task, and also answering some questions. See you in class.